The truth on the Outer Worlds 2. I played the Outer Worlds a little bit, and I'm gonna be honest, that it was kind of marketed a little bit as like Fallout New Vegas 2 in space, and it just wasn't. It wasn't the same. It was kind of mediocre. The story wasn't great. The characters weren't great. Like, I still remember characters from Fallout New Vegas. I don't remember anything about Outer Worlds except for a couple of the environments there at the beginning, and I beat it. I just don't. I don't remember nothing. I remember the crazy guy, the crazy old guy that you get the travel stuff from. Anyway.
Everybody, it is Maddie here today, and we're sitting down to talk about what was one of 2024's biggest surprises when it came to a confirmation, and that is the Outer Worlds 2, which is dropping seemingly at the end of 2025, but it could be sooner than that. There was a video I made in 2021 saying that Avowed and the Outer Worlds 2 would be sooner than people actually realize. Now, this isn't me starting off with a victory lap. That's annoying. We're not doing that. But what I'm saying is that I actually, as I thought about it, was less surprised because I realized back then I pointed to how the work on the Outer Worlds 2 began as early as September 2019. Obsidian is very different from other developers under Microsoft stable, where when they were purchased and got that extra capital, they put their backs into multiple projects, splitting up their multi-100-person team into a Grounded team, an Avowed team, a Pentiment team, an Outer Worlds 2 team, and who knows what else is next. We'll talk about that at the end of this video, because it could be very exciting if you catch my drift. However, though, Obsidian did that versus what a lot of other developers underneath the Microsoft banner did, which is take all of that capital and put it into one big project. But because of this, I always had a lingering hope that
I think Outer Worlds is just too colorful is one thing. There's too many colors and it's just kind of puked onto the screen. And I didn't want that many colors in a game that was marketed as New Vegas 2 in space.
Outer Worlds 2 would arrive sooner, but given that this production started right before the pandemic and then the development landscape changed for a while, I wouldn't fault you for thinking that, yeah, the Outer Worlds 2 is probably years after Avowed. But Obsidian has the opportunity to pull off an amazing double feature that we haven't seen since Insomniac Games showed up with a new Ratchet & Clank game, and then months later with a new Spider-Man game. They're operating on a whole other level, and I can't wait for the Outer Worlds 2. That's why I want to sit down and talk about a lot of the brand new information we got on this game, but also the fact that...
I just hope some of the woke nonsense didn't leak over from Avowed into Outer Worlds 2. Hopefully they had different developers and didn't have any of the woke nonsense. Because I'd really like that. And I understand that there was a little bit in Outer Worlds, and I didn't like that. But I hope that I could see them going harder.
Quite frankly, many people are penning the Outer Worlds 2 as this end of 2025 title, and I'm sure that Obsidian certainly wants to spread it out a little bit, but this could be a summer 2025 title. I mean, these projects are working in parallel, so we'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome one, welcome all. I hope you're excited for the Outer Worlds 2. Let's sit down and have a little conversation about it, shall we? If you're new here, you're into what's going on with Obsidian, whether it be Avowed or the Outer Worlds 2, we talk about them both quite a bit. Consider subscribing. And before all of that, I want to get into a quick word from today's sponsor. If you know me, you know I love my Ninja Turtles. You see them here in the background. Oh, what's this? A Last Ronin figure. Oh, Shredder's Revenge Collector's Edition. My 2003 action figures, still in my collection. I literally have the sickest wall art here in my office. I love the Ninja Turtles, and I'm here to tell you about an awesome collaboration that Hero Wars is doing with our favorite heroes in a half shell. Thanks to an epic collaboration between Paramount Pictures and Nexters, your favorite heroes in a half shell are joining the world of Dominion, and you're not going to want to miss this because this is more than a new character drop. It's an all-out adventure
This guy's good.
with thrilling battles to dive in alongside the Turtles. Now, what I love about this is
He's good at doing ad voice.
that they could have easily charged for this, but you can get all the Turtles for free. Don't got to spend $1. Nothing, not a single penny. Just go in, get your Turtles. What you should be on the lookout for while you're playing it, though, is the incredible limited time offers, including an exclusive Shredder and Casey Jones skin that'll power up your heroes like never before. And there's a boatload of bonuses and unique rewards that are waiting for you. So this is the event that people like me have been waiting for, but you gotta act fast, all right? That's not just me saying it, because this event is active from December 2nd, which has passed for a while, up until December 21st. So time's
I don't like gaming ads because everybody's always excited about this cool, awesome game that they're playing, that they're being paid to advertise, and then like a month later, they're not playing it anymore.
Time's a ticking, get on it. And just know that if you get on it and you get these turtles, that you get to keep them permanently. Hero Wars is running a special event featuring the Ninja Turtles where you can discover their journey into Dominion, unlock their secrets, and fight alongside these iconic heroes. Just don't miss your chance to have the Turtles added to your squad for free. There'll be a link down below. Click it, check out Hero Wars, get Turtles in your squad today. Shout out to them for sponsoring today's video. For starters, just some brief thoughts on the trailer itself. Quick things I didn't get to throw out my initial reaction during the Game Awards 2024 because we were flying through like 30, 40 other games that were revealed at that time. But what I'm thinking we might have here, and the conversation's picking up over on Reddit, is a third-person mode. We know that's already in Avowed, but there were a lot of third-person animations, third-person point of views that were shown off, and the trailer was styled similarly to what we saw with Avowed when they did confirm that there would be a third-person mode. This was actually one of the biggest points of criticism for The Outer Worlds 1, which is that you had all this cool armor, you had this beautiful world space.
We're gonna put third person in our mode in our game. Isn't that cool and innovative? Even though it's already been done, even in the game that they're trying to say is like the spiritual successor to In Space.
It was very Bethesda Game Studios like, but there was no third person mode. Avowed now has that, as I covered in my preview of the game, but the problem is it's not hotkeyed. At least in that preview build, it was not hotkeyed. So when you wanted to go third person, you had to pause the game and go into the settings options, and I just thought that was silly. Other new things we saw, crazy science weapons like up the wazoo, so many different types of weapons. We saw some sort of stealth system. We saw some sort of new vision mode. Throwables were there. We saw hand-to-hand combat a little bit. Like, there was all these different expansions on combat, which I think is really good to see, because I noticed a lot of the conversation around the Outer Worlds 1 when I was reading the feedback about 2. A lot of people were really getting into the idea of like the first game being disappointing, but many of them also I saw were admitting, I didn't try the DLC, which I think moved the gameplay forward in considerable ways, especially Murder on Eridanos, introducing new enemy types and really making combat a little bit more difficult, plus new quest types and locations that really diversified what the Outer Worlds offered, where one thing Obsidian mentions here quite a bit in this—
it's too combat driven for me. It's not got enough story, I think. Because when I was playing, I was killing stuff nonstop basically, and I wanted more of a lonely adventure, and I felt like things were just thrown onto the path just to take longer for me to get to the destination I was going.
This Xbox Wire post we're going to get into is that you should revisit, you should replay, you should check out the Outer Worlds 1. Like, a lot of pushing, and obviously this could just be marketing speak when I look at it, but my brain goes to that they're going to continue this adventure from the Outer Worlds 1 into 2 in a more meaningful way than seemingly is being suggested. I say all of that because as you start to read through this Xbox Wire post, it seems very separate from what the Outer Worlds 1 did in the terms of setting and who may even be within this part of the universe. They write, in true Obsidian fashion, you'll carve your path through Arcadia, a colony teeming with factions, intrigue, and chaos. It's also a home of skip drive technology, and where the fate of the entire colony and the galaxy rests. As a daring, undeniably good-looking, and questionably competent Earth Directorate agent, you're tasked with uncovering the source of devastating rifts threatening the entire galaxy. And talk about stakes, the choice of how you deal with these rifts is up to you. Your world's your way, as we say at Obsidian. Now, are the rifts the only thing threatening Arcadia? Of course not. That would be too easy. A factional war between the benevolent rulers known as the Protectorate, a rebellious scientific religious order, and a corporate megapower has the colony torn apart. Each is trying to close or control the rifts for their own good / monetarily profitable needs. Church, state, and capitalism. Who will win? Well, that's really up to you. This is your game. We've said the choices were yours through the whole time. See, that's the Obsidian motto. Yeah, you get it. So
I really like the concept that they're going for in space. I really like the whole idea. It's just the characters and the story that it's if you're not better than Borderlands, you can't be a good game in my eyes.
This is actually interesting because if y'all are like me and you had the lack of a privilege to play the Shattered Space expansion, this sounds just like that. Like space drive technology, a religious faction in the middle of it who's also scientifically driven. Like, this really does sound exactly like what was happening over with that Shattered Space DLC. And I say that and laugh, not as a dunk on Bethesda, but when the Outer Worlds 1 came around, Bethesda was doing this Fallout First program, and it was awful, and it felt like they were totally detached from what made Bethesda Game Studio special. And here comes the Outer Worlds 1 as literally the perfect game at the perfect time, answering exactly what people wanted, and it did really well because of that, and also the many great things it did individually that people were just attracted to. And now you see Bethesda misses hard on a DLC, and here comes a game with very similar ideas that could very well execute them better than Bethesda, which just seems to be what Obsidian's done. In this case, you can't say it's intentional. Like, these are just in too close proximity to one another. So it's just insane to see how it's playing out once again. That Zeitgeist alone, setting very...
And I think it's weird that Xbox is producing both of them. Like, they're producing both games, and they're going to be competing with each other. So Xbox is competing with themselves. That's what happens when you get to this level of bureaucracy and like everything owning each other.
Very different. We're talking about Arcadia, New Colony, and this is so new that there is no information on this place. None whatsoever. Like, nothing in game, no mentioning of it, no wiki pages mentioning it, no community member knows what it is. They're moving into a completely different area. This opens up a whole new potential of just no returning characters, all new everything, and I just wonder what that direction is. The main thing that they do mention here is about the board still kind of being dissolved, so there is some sort of continuation, but the way I think about it a little bit is how Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 work off each other, where they're within the same world, but they're at completely different points where you can see the continuity, but it's a good starting point for the second one as much as it is the first one, so you can really get into the game series anyway, and maybe that was the vision of the Outer Worlds too. A little bit...
Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, 10 out of 10 games. Perfect. There's no issues at all with those games. I love them.
Like Fallout, where, again, this is a series that was clearly inspired by those types of games, where, hey, you can jump into Fallout 2, 3, 4, New Vegas, hell, even 76, the first one. You can jump in wherever you want to start your adventure and just see what this series has to offer over time, if that's what you'd like to do. So it seems like it's a sequel in that sense, based on what little information we have.
Yeah, then instead of being a direct sequel, yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be fun to actually do like the Fallout thing, where you're just like, well, it's the same place, kinda, but different time, different people, different setting, different place in the universe.
Right now, that's at least my assumption. They also mentioned here and really emphasize the point that it's an RPG. They say when it comes to crafting your commander, it is a full-on RPG with RPG elements, time from ability points to skill checks and conversations to even how flawed you want to be, because let's admit, no one is perfect. How you build your commander and chart your way through the narrative is uniquely yours as you plunge into this player-driven story, whether you're a disciple of diplomacy, a smart strategist, a crusader of chaos, or defiantly different. The choice, you guessed it, is yours. Oh, and with this being the Outer Worlds, yes, you can be dumb. I noticed a lot of people glancing over this, but I think it's really important to highlight RPG with RPG elements, and also highlight that you can be dumb. The dumb ending in the Outer Worlds 1 is still one of the funniest ones I've seen. You can literally fly into the sun. It's a thing.
I will give it to the Outer Worlds. At the beginning there, I was exploring a little bit with how the choices would work, and I was doing a lot more quick save, so I can go back and keep doing all these choices, make the wrong choices, just to see what happened. You know, there was a lot of that, but a lot of it just didn't make sense though, and it wasn't cohesive, but it was funny. I'll give them that it was funny a lot of times.
Of beauty. So I love that they're bringing back being stupid in this game. Low intelligence playthroughs in the old Fallout games were great. I love that there are modern games still hanging on to that sort of stuff. But what we see here is an RPG with RPG elements. And I talk about this because a lot of games use RPG elements but are not an RPG. And in turn, I've said this for about 7-8 years now, that the term of RPG, like, oh, you're an RPG, it gets watered down. It means less and less because it's the genre that so many developers borrow from.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed is an RPG now.
Every game has a skill tree. Every game has a perk system. These used to be exclusively RPG elements, but now genres are, as I've talked about many times as well, turning into blenders and taking ideas from others and putting them into their own. So it's important to highlight that this is still an RPG with skill checks, choice and consequence, that sort of thing, which Obsidian is really well known for, and that has me excited. Interestingly, they also mentioned here, on top of that, the universe is expanding beyond the game. The Outer Worlds 2 will be featured in the upcoming Secret Level anthology series streaming on Prime Video. Tune in on December 17th for a short story that takes place between the Outer Worlds and the Outer Worlds 2. While you may have thought that was a lot of shilling, the Secret Level episode is legitimately good, and if the board were around again, see, referencing past tense, they tell you it was mandatory viewing. I feel like this is going to end up being, I don't want to oversell it, but more important than we actually give it credit for, because again, we have very little knowledge on Arcadia, and this Secret Level thing is coming around, and it feels like it might be our first bit of information on what's happening at least between these two games. What's the setup? Is there going to be some sort of continuation? And normally I'd be like, whatever, but Shadow Labyrinth, which got announced at the Game Awards, was a continuation of what was shown off during Secret Level. So this makes me want to check it out as well. I mean, these are quick 10, 15 minute, whatever episodes. So why not, right? Either way. But I do wonder just how far they're going to carry things here with the Outer Worlds and kind of bridge these stories together, if anything at all. I think the biggest shame, if they're completely separate, is we miss out on Parvati. I would love to see Parvati swing around just one more time, but you know what? That's what makes her character special. Maybe it's just that we get her in the Outer Worlds 1. She's special to that game. Okay, so that's really a lot of what we know about the Outer Worlds 2, which is bare minimum. Let's keep it real. But a lot of these weapons in this game, like I said,
Parvati, was that her name? Better than Piper. I'll give them that too. Better than Piper. Outer Worlds 1. However much I did not like that game, better than Fallout 4 in every way. I'll give it that. Fallout 4 is a 6 out of 10. Outer Worlds 1, 7 out of 10.
Said look cool. I like that they're mechanically evolving things a little bit more like you'd expect in a first-person shooter. The worlds look stunning, look beautiful, look far more expansive. And the vibe I got from the Outer Worlds community was they want more. The Outer Worlds 1 felt kind of content light to them. They wanted to spend more time in it. And I was surprised to read that, quite frankly. One of my favorite things about the Outer Worlds 1 was it was very replayable, lots of different styles, lots of different choices you can.
I don't like replayable. I want my character to keep going, actually. That's like, I don't know, I just did some stuff to Daggerfall. I installed like 400 mods. This game is going to keep going on forever with one character. I ain't going to want to build another character.
Make, and it was kind of quick. It was like a 30-hour RPG for just the base game. With the DLC thrown in, it was much bigger than that. But when you were looking at it on its own, vanilla Outer Worlds, like, it was a very palatable RPG, which I feel we need more of. But it seems like, based on at least what they said in the trailer, at least double the size, is that the Outer Worlds 2, I mean, we could even see in the trailer, is going to be huge. This is going to be a way bigger game than the first one. And I think that is the expectation, where Avowed was going to be more of the KOTOR style design, where we saw with like Halcyon, for example, in the Outer Worlds 1, that really opened things up big time. So now the Outer Worlds 2 is rolling around. Are they going to continue that more open planet hub structure? That is my expectation. But I also want to talk about Obsidian's future. And no doubt this point will come up in many a Maddie video, so congrats. You're hearing it here first for the first time. All right, so what we're talking about is Fallout. For a brief moment here, you got to indulge me. Okay, I had this crazy thought of, okay, this is really what's happening. Obsidian actually is going to be done with their major RPG projects, all things pan out well, in 2025. Okay, wow, they're free now. Their main RPG teams are free now. Coming into 2026, we have rumors of Fallout remasters floating around, and then we have Fallout 5 after Elder.
I could see Obsidian being in charge of the Fallout remasters, and I'd be okay with that, and I will play them and probably buy them as long as they don't change stuff. I don't know what they would change, but I could see them changing stuff. I don't want them to change stuff.
Scroll 6, the timeline, as we have shaken it up many times before, is lining up well, where Obsidian has expressed many times with their CEO, Fergus Urquhart, about wanting to work on Fallout one more time. The desire is there, but more importantly, the timing is now aligning, where their biggest RPG teams, both Squad A and B, will be free outside of DLC support, post-launch support, you know, all that stuff. And I can't help but wonder if this is when the time is to strike, right? We heard rumors and murmuring that Microsoft was looking into a code word New Vegas 2. Whatever it actually ends up being, we don't know. But it is possible now, sooner rather than later. Like, people were saying Obsidian would start a new Fallout game in 2028 if we're lucky. we're years ahead of that sort of curve. Could it line up? Could pre-production have even begun? I wonder. You know, you got to think about these sort of things, right? My speculative brain just went there, and I couldn't help but wonder, could the stars truly be aligning for Fallout to get these continuous years of support, right? We know season 2 is in production. We know because of how much the Fallout TV show blew things up that no doubt this series needs more games. The remasters are the easy, quick answer to it. What do you do long term as Bethesda Game Studios works on the extremely important Elder Scrolls 6? Plus, while the show's active, what else do you do to fill those gaps? And so I feel like this could be the start of that answer. We'll see in due time, ladies and gentlemen, but I just had to get it off my chest with that is one element I noticed with the Outer Worlds 2 2025. It's a huge deal for this studio's timeline. Of course, they always have smaller projects in development, so it does not mean that the studio is completely empty-handed come end of 2025. I think Grounded 2 is a project that's very obviously in development, and if that is
I want to see a new IP. Just give me a new IP. Come on, let's go. Just keep, or like remake something old. I really want those Fallout remakes.
Adam Brennicke's team, it is a smaller team, but still it is a team. We don't really know what Josh Sawyer is poking around on, so it could also be one of those moments where Speculize is getting the best hold of me right now, but I had to talk about it just a little bit. So ladies and gentlemen, I leave it in your hands now. Let me know what you think of the Outer Worlds 2 and what's going on with this game. I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts down below. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.
Yeah, what do you think about that? About Outer Worlds 2? I do not like Obsidian. I don't like what Obsidian's done. I think hopefully they don't ruin their own game that they created just a few years ago already. They already it wasn't that great. But like, who knows, man? Who knows? If it's good, I'll buy it. I liked the first one enough to buy it. I'll buy the second one as long as they keep all the woke stuff out and as long as they keep microtransactions out. You got my money.